I would not be mad about presenting something related to the bell tower. Let's see what the hint coin tells me. Hint coin says, go for it. I was born ready, Your Honor. Oh boy. Phoenix Wright, you are fired. Something that exists in this town but shouldn't. I think I know what you're getting at, Professor. Defender, please present your evidence. Yes, Your Honor. Purpose of the shades could be to make sure this particular thing exists in Labyrinthia. Going for the Grand Grimoire. Really? So you're suggesting magic?
Take that!
The interesting thing about Namco X Capcom is that it never left Japan, whereas Project X Zone games were localized in North America and the UK. Oh, Maya was able to take off her helmet now. How'd they react? Why isn't Maya a shade? They haven't really explained. Well, okay, let me take a step back here. Maya took off her helmet because they finally, Phoenix Wright finally revealed the contraption beneath the flames. And so Maya was like, it's true, I'm alive, and I was burned. So we proved that, you know, people that are sent to the witch trials and they fall into the fire to die don't actually die. But Maya isn't a shade. They haven't explained this during the trial yet. I'm sure we'll get there eventually. But shades undergo like a ritual or some sort of process. When we first arrived in the woods, there was a shade that said, you know, I'm in charge of like turning new recruits into shades or something like that. So there's some sort of ritual process involved with that. And Maya did not go through with that because she was running away from all the shades and did not get, you know, undergo that process. Something that doesn't exist. I have a feeling no one is going to like the answer I'm about to give, and it'll probably end up shaking this town to its core. But I've got to tell them the truth. Or got to tell them the truth has to come out. Since I arrived here in Labyrinthia, there's been no shortage of really strange events. Ignace, Demir, Godor, Goldor, and now Grandworm. The mere command of magic in itself is in itself a crime, is it not? In this town, witches are arrested and made to participate in witch trials. They are then sentenced to death by fire. But none of those witches actually died. That supposed death by fire wasn't real. And neither is magic. It doesn't really exist. What are you saying, Defender? The Eldritch Woods apparently contain some rather large machines, unlike anything that exists within Labyrinthia. Machines that emit fire and produce large plumes of smoke. To top it all off, the citizens of Labyrinthia are not able to see said machines. Sounds like nothing more than magic. Yes, that's exactly it, Your Honor. Miss Darklaw. Magic doesn't really exist in this town. That's the answer, isn't it? Magic does not... What utter nonsense. Seems we have finally arrived at the stunning conclusion. The secret behind Labyrinthia. What? What? I don't get it. I don't understand. I need more. Order! What is the meaning of this? It means that all of the magic you've seen in this town is nothing more than an illusion created and put into motion by the shades. But Defender, the witches, we have clearly seen them use magic. Let us take a moment to think carefully about the systems employed by the shades. Systems? What is essential in order for a witch to use magic? The witch must possess a talia magica and must say an incantation in order to cast a spell. And the spells able to be cast are determined by the scepter's magic gems. Now, what do you think is the purpose of placing such requirements on the use of magic? What do you mean, purpose? These requirements are not there to allow the user to cast magic. Rather, the reality is they are there to inform the shades of who should be using magic. It is possible that witches were always being closely observed by shades. That's why they donned these robes, to appear hidden until they were needed to create magic. Create? Indeed. There are all kinds of spells within this tome. It would be quite troublesome if they were simply allowed to use any spell at will. Yeah, it would make the Shade's job that much more difficult for sure. Precisely so. That is why it was imperative that a certain restriction be placed on the use of magic. You're referring to the Talia Magica, right, Professor? Of course, no wonder the scepter could contain only 2 magic gems. Then there's the incantation. What would happen if a witch could simply whisper the incantation quietly to herself? Or not even say it at all? Boy, that would be so cool. I'd be casting spells all day and no one would ever see it coming. Maya, we spent an entire trial proving that you weren't a witch, remember? If the witches didn't give some sort of signal, then there would be no way for the shades to know when to cast the spell. Right you are, Mr. Wright. The incantations were a way of telling the shades when the witch was ready to use magic. What on earth? Never did I think these requirements would have such a purpose. Okay. Let me get this straight. Instead of magic existing in this world, or rather in this town, magic doesn't exist in this town. And instead, outside the gates of the town, there's a forest of people who wear invisible cloaks. And when someone in town needs to cast a spell, of which they have no capacity of doing, someone wearing an invisible cloak casts the spell for them. Why? Why is it so convoluted? What is the purpose? I don't understand. This is a part Layton game? I know, but like some Layton games in the past have always had like something to be founded in reality. Usually they are like a huge stretch, like a giga stretch of reality. But like there's some basis of reality. Here we're in a storybook world. Fine. It can be whatever you want. But like, why not just go with magic? Why not just go with magic? Why do you have people following witches, casting spells for them? It's just so strange. It's unbelievably strange. It's like it's needlessly complicating it for a reason I have yet to understand or be revealed. Whatever you're thinking, it is correct. Layton moment. Cannot wait to see your reactions as things continue. Every game was a big stretch in your opinion. It's true. Like, I don't want to spoil the other games in case other people haven't played them, but like the first game, it was a stretch, but you know, you could, like, you could say that it was grounded in some sort of reality. Again, a stretch, but it had some reality like platform to be built off of. Which one was the second game? Curious Village was the first. Which one was the... Hold on. Professor... Diabolical Box. I don't remember that one. Unwound Future. I think Diabolical Box was the one with like the haunted mansion. Or was that Unwound Future? The one with the haunted mansion, that was the one where I was like, okay, you know, this is a little too off the wall. Like, way too off the wall. Unwound Future. Oh yeah, Unwound. Unwound. Okay. Never mind. They were all a lot of a big stretch. They were all a huge, unbelievably big stretch. Oh, I forgot about that one. Now, let's think back to the previous events leading up to today that have involved magic. Our first encounter with magic was the use of the spell Ignaze a few nights ago. A spell like this was nothing more than a flame spewed from a machine being used by the Shades. Wait, so you're not even saying that they're casting spells, you're just saying that they're pretending to cast spells. Which, that honestly makes it worse. Okay? You're having someone who thinks they're casting a spell, but in fact they are not. Then you're having someone who's invisible, who clearly has the capabilities of using magic spells, instead use like machines and technology to fake casting magic spells? What? That means Demir, a spell that makes the caster disappear. No doubt about it, it must have been this robe. Next is the incident with Goldor, the spell that transmuted me into a gold statue. Oh, are we going to do something like that? While I understand this may sound a bit absurd, I can only surmise that the Shades created a gold statue in my image, took me, and left it in my place the instant the incantation was uttered. Your... The game creators can't possibly think that we're going to buy this, right? Like, nor can people in the actual game actually think to buy this, right? This is like, normally you would say this stuff is crazy or it's off the wall, but like, This like punched a hole through the wall, and you know, it's like going into orbit now. Like, what the heck? Professor, it's no more absurd than anything else that's happened so far. No, this is incredibly absurd. We can therefore conclude that all of the magic in Labyrinthia was created in a similar vein. It also doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense because the professor, like, how did you predict that the professor was going to point his finger at that moment? You know? What do you say to that, Miss Darklaw? I'd expect nothing less from you, Inquisitor Layton. At any given time, there were between 5 and 10 witches in town. All of the witches were accompanied by shades at all times. It was easier than you think. You see, the shades living in the Eldritch Woods total in the hundreds. It was simply a matter of having each of the shades operate in shifts in order to watch over each of the witches within the town. Must say, Lady Darklaw, that is quite a number of shades. It was not only those who fell victim to the flames that were turned into shades, but their victims, too, were made permanent residents of the Eldritch Woods. Then, those 2 shady thieves from before were turned into shades. Yes, you mean Robs and Mugs. Despite their dubious appearance, those 2 were a couple of my best shades. Shady thieves turned into shades. The stuff writes itself. I cannot believe what I have heard. This is insane. This is insane. However, there is still one thing I do not understand just yet. And what would that be? As has just been explained, we have established that there is no possibility of magic being real. But replacing me with a gold statue to give the illusion of transmutation, for example, while it sounds simple enough, I myself, and presumably also Miss Fey, have no recollection of this replacement actually taking place. Hey, that's right. The professor got all bling-blingy before I could even bat an eye. We're going back to the alchemist. We're going back to the alchemist. It begs the question, how and when was that statue created, let alone used to replace me? That is true. Same goes for Goldor. It's supposed to create a portal between 2 green-colored walls. Perhaps that is exactly why the spell can only work on green walls, Mr. Wright. Still, it'd be impossible for the shades to get those portals ready so quickly. I agree. If we take a moment to think, we can see that all of these spells have one strange thing in common. Thing in common? Yes, indeed. Almost as if some time between the start and end of the incident was unaccounted for. Furthermore, any memory I might have had regarding the incident seems to have simply disappeared in the process. I've got it, Nick. Just like what happened to Kira. She's got absolutely no memory of her life in Labyrinthia before the trial, right? Yes, I do not remember this Kira you speak of. And yeah, when you really think about it, doesn't it seem super weird how the Shades were able to return to town if they complete their tasks? Right, Maya. I mean, the townsfolk are bound to remember some things about them, right? Like how Miss Kira here threw a major hissy fit in court and was barbecued for being a witch. Eloquently put, Mr. Wright. Hence, we cannot yet conclude that this entire illusion was primarily accomplished through the use of machinery. Simply put, there must have been some way of affecting the memories of all those within the confines of this town. Missing time and lost memories. Now that is interesting, Inquisitor. You are correct. There is in fact a secret that lies within the depths of the Eldritch Woods. Something that the people of this town cannot see. Something that can rob people of their time and memories. 'Tis the very thing that connects all of what you have heard tonight. 'Tis a secret of monumental proportions. And let me guess. 'Tis a secret that cannot be revealed by the mistress of the Eldritch Woods, is that right? Yes, an excellent deduction, Defender. Yeah, like has Layton ever done anything truly grounded? You think the real draw for you personally actually are the insane twists, like a giant sea monster fighting a mecha robot in a foggy town and being mistaken for a shadowy demon. I don't. That's so dumb yet so good. I don't remember that one. Could just be a made-up example. Also, the games do have a lot of charm. It gets better. They just happen to have a pre-made gold statue of Layton in that exact pose. Brilliant. Yeah, it's... That one's a little crazy. Witches' souls wander astray within the Eldritch Woods. Until tonight, I thought this nothing but a mere fairy tale told to children. But it has become clear that a seemingly large organization lies within that forest. The Witch's Court is the border between this world and the other world. And that means, in this world, you're Labyrinthia's High Inquisitor, while also being mistress to the Shades in the other world, otherwise known as the Great Witch. May I intervene for just a moment, Mr. Wright? Sure. In all honesty, there is still something that sticks out as a little odd. Yeah, how about how Darklaw, she had to have, died or something like that to become a Shade, right? Particularly in Miss Darklaw's previous testimony. Did you say the previous testimony? I had already pushed that out of my head. There was one vital truth that we managed to take away from that testimony. You mean that magic does not truly exist in Labyrinthia? Indeed, quite the vital, albeit shocking truth. However, there was one more truth hidden within that same testimony. There's something else in the testimony? I must have checked the court record more times than I can count, but I didn't find any single contradiction. Have you forgotten already, Mr. Wright? When there is no evidence left, we have but one more weapon at our disposal with which to uncover the truth. Oh, hey, I've got it, Nick. Remember, in a witch trial, you can cross-examine two witnesses at the same time. Hey, that's right, I completely forgot. Being able to have a look at two testimonies side by side is bound to turn up a contradiction somewhere. And that contradiction should provide us with a much-needed clue. Not entirely sure where the professor is going with this, but believe in his judgment. Besides, if we're going to blow this case wide open, it's got to be worth a shot. Very well. We will now take a closer look at Lady Darklaw's previous testimony. This is it. Miss Darklaw's previous testimony. There's a glaring contradiction between this piece of testimony and the others. Ready yourself, Mr. Wright. Shades live outside the realm of those who dwell in Labyrinthia. For them I am known as the Great Witch. Those that are put to the flames in the witch trials become Shades. Darklaw is our venerable mistress. She assigned us our tasks. Not a witch, nor am I wandering spirits. The was. Great Witch part is certainly something. I'm going to use a hint coin here, but I'm trying to strike out at least one more thing. Could probably strike out this first one. Okay. I'm gonna go with this one. I think the was Great Witch means something. I think maybe I was right all along. She was the Great Witch Bazella, and then she got torched. And now the cat is the Great Witch or something.
Objection!
Your Honor, there's obviously a huge discrepancy between these two pieces of testimony. Miss Darklaw stated that she is known as the Great Witch. However, according to Miss Kira's testimony, Miss Darklaw was her venerable mistress, the Great Witch. That is correct. She was the Great Witch. Note Miss Kira's use of the past tense. Past tense. I'm afraid my grammar is not quite what it used to be. May I ask what you mean? It's simple. Miss Darklaw was mistress to the Shades, or as they called her, the Great Witch. Therefore, she is no longer the Great Witch. She is not the Great Witch? Witness, is this true? Huh? It is as you have heard, my lord. I relinquished my position as Great Witch in order to fulfill the objective of this task. What would that objective be again? That would be the assassination of the storyteller, Your Honor. Witness, at the beginning of this trial, you stated that you came to town in order to complete your task, didn't you? What's more, you said that you were going to summon the fire dragon to do it. Now, this task, it wasn't Miss Darklaw here that gave it to you, was it? No, it wasn't. So then, the most pressing question is, who was it that gave you that task? Who told you to come to Labyrinthia and assassinate the storyteller? I cannot tell you, no matter what. Alright, so Darklaw isn't the Great Witch anymore. Which must mean the mastermind behind this entire thing is... It seems the defense has worked it out as well. Mr. Wright, you know who really gave Miss Kira her task tonight, do you not? Defender, I ask that you enlighten the court. Show us who really gave the witness her task to assassinate the storyteller. Ah, I should have saved. How did Layton get there? How indeed. I'm going to be honest here. I don't actually know. I think you can make a good argument for the gato. I think you can make a great argument for the storyteller. I think you can make a decent argument for Espella Cantabella. Okay, so I want to present the storyteller here. The storyteller is clearly in on this. But I've been suspicious of the cat the entire game. So I have to present the cat. At least once. If we get a game over, you know, life is hard.
Take that!
We get a game over. You know, pointing out the inability to see things correctly out, what? And I pray this mastermind gets the head of blah blah blah. He doesn't like me. Don't need to continue this trial. The accused identity has been proven without a doubt. Yeah, life is hard. Peace out, Espella. I like how you go through all of that. And like that's the outcome. All right, for the YouTube folks, I had to go through like, I don't know, like 10, 15 minutes of skipping text, but I'm back. I used a couple of hint coins. Well, my hint coins are not going to match up, but we're choosing the storyteller. We're talking about someone with the authority and power to replace the Great Witch, someone who calls the shots. I can't think of anyone else that meets those criteria except the storyteller himself. Preposterous, then that would mean. Exactly, Your Honor. Means that the storyteller gave this final task to Kira himself. He was, in short, responsible for his own assassination. What? Should have been the Gothel. Order. For what purpose? Why would he plan his own assassination? That I cannot say, Your Honor. However, the final chapter of the story does tell of his inevitable death. While he assigned this task to Kira himself, it is perfectly natural that he would do so. Really? Explain why. However, it is not natural. Is your behavior, what is not natural is your behavior tonight, Miss Darklaw. What was unnatural about the High Inquisitor's behavior? You were once the head of all the Shades, and yet, tonight you tried to interfere with the storyteller's plan. You rendered Miss Kira unconscious and locked her away in the belfry of the bell tower. That, to me, seems like the activity of someone aiming to put a stop to his plan altogether. Indeed, Lady Darklaw, what would be the reason for such behavior? I leave that to you, Mr. Wright, of course. Based on what we've seen in this trial, the defense believes Miss Darklaw's reason for covering up her actions tonight can only be attributed to saving. But one thing. This plan was handed down by the storyteller himself. Miss Darklaw was definitely aiming to put a wrench in it, but why? I'm gonna go with betray. Only one possible reason I can think of as to why Miss Darklaw had to hide her actions tonight. She was aiming to betray the storyteller. Betray the storyteller? I agree, Mr. Wright. Storyteller used the Great Witch Bazella to take his own life. Instructions to carry out the plan were given to Miss Kira. However, Miss Darklaw planned to intervene and change the scenario at the very last minute. She planned to do so by changing the identity of the Great Witch from Miss Kira to Miss Cantabella. Thus bringing us to our current situation, Miss Cantabella on trial for the murder of her father at the hands of Bazella. You, Miss Darklaw, seem to harbor a rather strong hatred for the storyteller, if I'm not mistaken. A hatred, you say? Yes, I suppose you could call it that. That's right. Behold my revenge. Did you say revenge? Miss Darklaw, will you please tell the court of your plan for revenge? If you insist. The High Inquisitor, and also the Great Witch. Long have I donned those two masks, one as Labyrinthia's protector, the other its harbinger of destruction. In other words, I was merely meant to serve him. And yet, he sought to selfishly pen the ending of the story under his own terms. He did not care enough about me or any of the townspeople to allow us the dignity of deciding our own fate. Indeed, what we witnessed tonight was the cowardly act of a man looking for an easy way to end that which he could not properly finish. He cared for no one but himself, hence this sudden sham of an ending. And for that I will never forgive him. What do you mean by sham of an ending? The Great Witch Bazella is to summon a dragon of fire and end the life of the creator. She will then be put on trial and judged, thus heralding a period of peace and prosperity for all of Labyrinthia. Such is the ending written for this town and its people. 'Tis not an ending I oppose in principle. Who would not wish a happy ending for their own people? However, the problem lies in Bazella's identity. Bazella's identity? As you know, he assigned the role of the Great Witch to this girl beside me. But you're saying that was a falsehood, is that correct? I knew Bazella's true identity. 'Tis not something I could ever forget. That is why I went to the bell tower, and it is why I took the accused there. I did it to ensure that the true witch foretold in the story was given the judgment she was due. True witch, you don't mean... Yes, I speak of none other than Espella Cantabella.
Objection!
Miss Darklaw, there is a glaring contradiction in your statement. And what would that be? It's supposedly common knowledge that Bazella is capable of using all magic. However, that is far from the truth. Magic does not actually exist in this town. It was all one giant illusion created by the Shades. Therefore, Great Witch Bazella cannot exist either. You fool. Defender, you really don't have a clue, do you? Why would you say that? Everybody doesn't have a clue. Literally nobody here has a clue. But wait just a minute now, is the defender not correct? If magic does not exist, then it goes without saying that witches do not exist either. And that would include the Great Witch, would it not? That's right. They've been lying to us this whole time. Dastards. Bazella isn't real.
Objection!
Mr. Wright. There is a fundamental mistake in your argument. What do you mean? I have but one simple question. What exactly is Bazella? Well, she's supposed to be the head of all witches. Allow me to reword the question. The Great Witch Bazella is the root of all disaster within Labyrinthia. Knowing that, what specific disaster might she have been the root of? That would be, I just thought of something. We've been hearing Bazella's name left and right since we got here, but no one has not once has the real Bazella shown up in person. Indeed, Miss Fay, Bazella herself has been virtually absent from the story thus far. But Inquisitor, did she not claim the life of the storyteller tonight? It would appear so, Your Honor. However, there is just one more thing. Consider this. Which particular story is every citizen of Labyrinthia most familiar with? Airplane. Well, that would be the legendary fire, right? Precisely. Surely you're not serious. As the name implies, that is but a mere legend. No one knows for certain if it occurred. So they say, but the reality is there are still traces of that terrible fire within the town today. Professor's right. We've even seen some of it up close and personal. Hey, yeah, at the Great Archive. You are indeed correct, Inquisitor. Littered throughout the town are burnt remnants of a fire most fierce. However, no one can say for certain what transpired back then. You see, not a soul saw what actually happened. Let me see if I have this straight. There's an entire town full of people and no one saw what happened. Correct, except for one particular person. What? There's one person who saw everything. Spella Cantabella. I'm speaking, of course, of the one responsible for the fire itself, the Great Witch Bazella. Yes. I remember it, all of it. Bella, what are you saying? When I close my eyes, I can picture it so vividly. The awful sight of the flames engulfing everything they touched. The scorching heat on my skin, the smell of burning cinder all around me. The large plumes of black smoke, the warm tears streaming down my face. Or tears. Could be tears. I remember it all. What you're recalling now is the moment the Great Witch Bazella destroyed our town. Well, it appears my role here is finished. As for the rest, leave it in your capable hands, Inquisitor. Objection? Huh? Darklaw, she just vanished into thin air. She's right, these memories are proof that I am Bazella. But a Spella, Mr. Wright. Remember, if you will, what I said at the beginning of this trial. Came here to prove that Spella Cantabella is in reality the Great Witch Bazella. Right. There is still one more thing I wish to present to the court. Would now like to call the final witness to the stand. Final witness? The storyteller.
Hold it!
It would appear he has arrived. Ladies and gentlemen of the court, I give you this trial's final witness, the storyteller. Just like that, he appeared, the man who died not hours before, and the victim of this very trial, the storyteller himself. Professor sure chose one heck of a final witness. Morning is drawing closer and closer. How this trial will end is anyone's guess. Alrighty. Well, this, or I'm going to call it quits for today. Been 4.5 hours. I have an hour and a half until work. So it seems very unlikely that I will be able to finish this game in an hour and a half and be able to give my thoughts without, feeling rushed or whatever. So I'm going to call it quits here for today. Yeah, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. I will be back tomorrow, 7 a.m. Pacific, to presumably finish the remainder of this game. I kind of highly doubt that it'll take another, I kind of highly doubt it'll take another 4 to 5 hours to beat this game, but there is a possibility, but I also doubt it. I doubt it. I mean, like, how much more is there to say? Storyteller, I mean, honestly, this is probably going to be like 2 hours tomorrow at most. But, yeah, I'm out of here. See you the next time I see you. Peace.